welcome back everyone. We are still live here at Awwwards in Amsterdam, and last but not least for this time, we have Sander here. Welcome Sander,
Hi.
how are you?
Thanks, I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about your background? When did you get into the design industry? How did you start? How many years ago was that?
Sure. I studied on an art school, visual design. So it was real arty, and it was like 13 years ago. So it's more like prints and identities. And then after a couple of years, I noticed that digital design is actually way more interesting because you can be interactive and you can have moving parts and stuff instead of just books or just still. Plus you cannot see how people actually like it, and online you can track that sort of in analytics. So then I started working for 2 design agencies, and I learned a lot as a digital designer. I had more as a visual designer, I worked there, but I worked so many times with interaction designers that the information architecture parts became really interesting, like problem solving, puzzles, complex things. So I like to call myself a hybrid, as in I like to combine UX and UI. You can also skip sort of the wireframe parts. Looking at gray boxes doesn't interest me. I think it's more interesting to create a prototype which is already the experience the end user will also experience. And that's in collaboration with your stakeholder or client. And then you have a nicer prototype you can work on. It's a bit already with visuals, with content, rich. And that's what I'm doing now as a freelancer for the last 4 years.
Awesome.
So I'm being hired, and I actually like to combine some commercial brands with institutes. So I work for museums and universities, but also for our commercial clients, like e-commerce platforms, that kind of stuff.
Great.
And it's a cool mix.
Great, awesome. So if you do have any questions for Sander, drop it in the chat and I'll ask the question to him. I know you have also prepared some stuff. You're also a speaker, not only a freelancer. So you talk about...
I have to, right? Promotion.
Yeah, you have to. So you're talking about empathy and digital ethics?
Yes.
That's it? So do you want to show us a little bit about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
You have a lot of technology trends going on, like AI, machine learning stuff. That's more the development part, right? I think as a UX designer and as a visual designer, you really have to do the opposite, actually. You have to focus on human-centered design. We've been doing, all of us, this for the last 10, 15 years with design thinking. And I think we should take it to the next level.
What is the next level?
Yeah, that's a good question. In my opinion, there's 2 trends in UX for the next couple of years.
What would you say that is?
On one hand, it's empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy-driven, emotion-driven, finding out what people really feel while they use our products, instead of just asking questions what they think. I have an example, actually. I can show you how you can do an emotion-driven test and actually see feelings. It's really cool. I think, in my opinion, it's really cool. And the other part is the ethical part. I think we need to earn the trust of our customers yet again. Last decades, we tried so many stuff, and some huge social media channels, they had some problems, and I think we have to earn the trust again. Also, I think in the future, if you want to win from your competitors as a brand, you have to focus on the ethical part. You have to make sure that people want to trust your product, so they're going to have a preference in the future. They're going to want to use the products that they trust and not all the other ones. So if you start now with a proper ethical approach in your design, and you can share that, and you can use that as your own branding, I think in the future you will win more customers. That's going to be the next. Now you have service, I think the next will going to be the ethical part, to build stuff that people trust and want to use.
Have you done projects in the past where you would tell your younger self exactly about that? That you can tell us about?
Oh, like that.
Yeah. Think of a project where you think you were not, you didn't emphasize enough and you were not ethical enough.
That's a good question. Well, I designed a prototype for T-Mobile once, and I was really looking for empathy, but it's a tough job to do that. What is that actually, you know?
Yeah.
How can you put in UX? So we made a prototype, and I did my best in having a service design layer, but having a second layer in which we could be more rich with like videos and animated GIFs. And you have different kinds of intelligences, like linguistic ones, people who like to read, mathematical ones, people like numbers, like developers. And you also have the visual part. And I think it's interesting to cover all of those So with the videos and combined with service design, you can actually give people a better understanding in how the product works. You can explain better. One image can, of course, be like 1,000 words. So you can communicate better what you're doing as a company. You can be more transparent. You can win them over. You can not scare them away. There's a lot of dropouts in tools and on websites. You can actually keep them there. So it was an experiment, and that's also what we tested with an emotion-driven test to see if that would work. And actually, there came a lot of new stuff out. So
how do you test that? What kind of tests do you use?
Well, I worked with a company here based in Amsterdam as well. It's called Brainengineers, and they have actually a headset. I can show a movie.
Sure.
I want to skip a couple slides though, because this is more what I'm interested about. It's like how people really feel, you know. In current UX usability tools, you can only hear what people say. You can ask questions, or you can see some eye tracking. But I'm more curious about what they really feel. So how close can we get? We can get very close. I'm also going to post more on my socials and write articles about it. So if people are interested.
Sure. If you guys want to follow Sander, that's the website, that's your Instagram, LinkedIn. And
this is going to be my main focus for the next couple of years.
Okay.
In those two areas. So.
Okay, so stay in touch.
So this is what I did. Like I designed a prototype, and then you could test it with neurofeedback. Instead of listening, you can really see their emotions. And it's actually cool during a process. So when a product is launched, it's easier because you have data, you have visitors. You can do A/B testing, you can do analytics research. But what during the phase? That's during the development phase. That's more interesting. How can you do that, right? So this is a headset. Let's see if this works. Yeah. You can put it on the head of your test candidate and it will actually detect brainwaves.
Okay.
So you have to calibrate it to make sure that it's linked with the software. You put a device in front, it's the eye tracking device, and you give them a test scenario and they have to perform it. And then the cool thing is it's a combination about user emotions and AI. You can detect 3 emotions, attention, joy, and the most important one actually is frustration.
Okay.
Because UX is about problem solving. So if you can really see...
So there's a wave in my brain for each one of them? Or
well, those are the 3 days centered. The 3 day are pointing out in the dashboard, while when somebody's using it. I can use an example movie. This is somebody who's testing it, and you can see the eye tracker going on there.
Yeah, the eye tracker, yeah.
So in a sec, he's going to open on the left. This is a website where you can buy tickets, flight tickets.
Flight tickets.
So here's using a tool here, and on the bottom you can see 3 lines. So the yellow one is attention, and that's because he's now fully focused in using the tool, like the destinations and stuff. And in a sec, here he's going to choose the dates, and dates are cool because you know when you're going to fly, so you think of your holiday, and you can see the the blue-green line goes up, excitement. And then at some point, he's done with filling in all the information, like now. And here he has to wait. They have to search for tickets. And this is a quite obvious one. It's a no-brainer. Waiting sucks. You know, people don't like it. So you can see the frustrations going up.
Yeah.
And it's just an easy example of how it works. So for the team developing this tool, you could see, okay, this is a real obvious thing. We have to try to make the page load as short as possible. So you can actually make the flow easier and nicer for your client. So that's what I think is very cool. And
does it only go up during that phase, or was there another peak of frustration?
In this example? Well, yeah, there are always more peaks, yes.
What were the others?
Actually, I always stop at this point in this movie.
Okay, so we skip that.
I need just one example to show, and you can show 3, but this is to prove that it works.
It would be good to know if you have like 3 peaks, which one do you address first? How do you narrow it down? With which one do you start?
Yeah, well, so it comes with a dashboard, page insights, so you can analyze it. I mean, with the low budget ones, you can screen record, you can analyze video, but here you can analyze the whole flow with video and eye tracking and the whole brainwaves things. And then, as a team, you can go through all the peaks, and you can decide yourself which you want to tackle. If page load is not one you can tackle, then you choose the ones you can, and you can optimize your project. And I think it's really cool. I really love it as a UX designer.
Is the hardware expensive, or is it actually achievable for people? For freelancers?
Yeah, I heard they're working on it for 7 years already, and I heard they're very close in releasing a product. So you as an online team, you can order it soon. and have a subscription to the dashboard. That's, I think, the business model. And you can do it yourself as a team. I worked really hard years from software, so I'm not sure how much it costs actually. I don't know.
But if it was spread more or like cheaper, then more people would probably go through this process and improve their products, right?
I hope this will replace all the current tools we have, because this is based on feelings and not on assumptions, or if somebody is using something and you ask questions, they're also thinking about what to mention because they're being analyzed, what to say out loud. That's not genuine reaction to the product. So I hope this will be affordable, and a lot of companies will do this, so we can, in the future, we all can test our products with emotions.
Sure, it's very
I don't
interesting.
have stakes I don't have any deal with this company. I'm completely...
Even if you had, that's fine.
Yeah, of course, but I'm just a fan of these kind of, because I believe in my work and in the emotion part. Yeah.
And at what point in time of your project do you use such tools to test it? Do you test it several times? Do you test it at an earlier stage and later you rely on Google Analytics or stuff like that?
Yeah, so ideally, if you have time and budget, you would have 3 tests. The first one is the concept phase. If you have a couple concepts not worked out yet, but it's fine to know which direction is the right one. You have a mid phase. Yeah. That would be cool if you can do that. So you can test the first prototypes. And if you really know the direction then with the feedback you got, you're in the end phase, you have to check the last kind of iterations or last details. And then you can really fine-tune the product. It's not always the case with the clients, but if they have the budget, then that's what I would prefer. Yeah.
Sounds great. We have a question in the chat here. Munir is asking, do you prefer working with super talented designer teams or with one that have the same of your spirit and ambition?
Well, one that have the same spirit and... so I switch a lot. So sometimes I have a project for 3 weeks, sometimes 7 months, different cities, different countries, like institutes and commercial brands and startups. And I don't actually have a preference. Every time I meet a new team, I learn so much because they have their own way of working, their own tools. I think you cannot imagine how many product management tools I already seen. Last project is a new tool. I have to learn that as well. And that really enriches my look on the field and on how I want to work. So I would actually like both, like talented people, young people also, so I can also teach them something, but also people I can learn from. So they say, oh, it's the best, right, to only work with people that are better than you, so you grow faster. But I also like sharing knowledge, so I prefer every aspect actually.
That's great.
Because I switch a lot, I like diversity, so...
That's great. We have another question from Chris. How do you think emotions in design will impact the new movement of personalization in design?
Will impact the new movement on personalization? Good question. I think it's still will be tricky to design on one specific user. That's kind of impossible. With every test, the trick is if somebody has one specific request, that's just one request. But if there are requests or frustrations that are repeatedly being known, then you have a problem that a lot of people have, the same problem. That's the one you have to fix first. So it will be more personal because it's based on feelings, but still you have to have several of the same frustrations that you encounter to know which one you have to tackle. So hopefully that will answer the question. But,
we hope so. I have a little bit, I would like to go more in depth into the user testing. So how many people do you usually get to test in phase 1, in phase 2, in phase 3? What would you recommend? What is a good size? Because I know user testing is very time consuming and very intense as well. Your brain works constantly and you ask the same question all over again, like a broken record.
Yeah, like a lot of talks. Yeah, exactly.
And yesterday, no. But everybody gives me different answers, so that's a good thing here. But in user testing, most of the answers are, based on my experience, pretty much the same. Yeah. So how many people would you recommend to interview at what stage?
I read a lot of articles about it and I see different answers. Yeah. So they do study.
But what do you think?
I think Google says like 5 or 6.
For each phase?
Yeah, it doesn't matter for each test.
Would you not make a difference?
Well, it's not maybe about the amount of people, but it's more about you have to have at least, in my opinion, maybe even more, like 8. And then you can go into 20 if you have the time. It's maybe not necessary, but like between 8 and 12, I would say. At least 7, 8, because then the repeating starts. If you do less, then you have maybe 3 people or 4 people out of 5 saying something, but it's still just 3 or 4 opinions or frustrations. And that's not enough, in my opinion. I think you need a little bit more to make sure that those are the main priority frustrations you have to tackle. And I don't see a difference in the concept phase or the mid phase or the end phase. I think it's sort of the same, like 8 or 12, between 8 and 12 would be ideal.
Okay, great. We have another question in the chat here. How do you think any man want to start graphic? Where does he want to start?
Right.
Graphic
design is something else. That's something I did in the past. I think graphic design is more is broader, more broad. UX is based on user flows and understanding your customer. If you want to do graphic design, well,
that's a different.
Go to Skillshare.
That's a different
look at some
question.
tutorials. That's different. That's like print and visual design. I did that in the past, but that's not my interest anymore. But a lot of e-courses, I guess, e-course platforms you can go to. And
what would you say is the biggest difference between graphic design and digital UX design? And also, what would you say has been the development from when you started until now in both industries?
So, graphic design is more, sorry to say so, sorry all the other actors in the world, it's more an egocentric process. You don't really know what your audience wants.
Yeah.
But you can have a cool idea, and sometimes you don't always have to know what they want. Sometimes if you have a cool idea, you push it. Then people get something unexpected, maybe they didn't know they like, that should be there always. I'm just more interested in a combination of having analytics, seeing what people want, and designing something that they would love to use. So the analytics part is definitely completely different, and that is, for me, there was a big change. I transformed from not knowing what people want and towards understanding what they want and using that actually to enhance my design. And at least you need a couple of years to have some projects and do some tests and understand some tools and work with people to know how. But when you do and when you have those options, then it becomes really interesting.
Where do you see the future is going to in UX design and research? Do you think at some point everybody is sitting there with their brain with their brain lines and everything? Do you think
it's creepy, no? At some point,
it is. Maybe there are just some people who have too much time and they just try it for fun. Oh, let's test some website and try it myself, or just try anything.
Well, they can. You can actually use this set also, I think, for TV commercials to see how people react to that.
Okay.
To anything, actually, every experience you can check, right? So you can see if there's frustration. It's just in our scene, it's very used to test stuff, so it's very convenient.
But do you think there will come something more like augmented reality or stuff like that into the whole process, or do you think that is how the future will look like?
I don't think you can get closer than feelings into knowing what people want, and whether it's a mobile app or an augmented reality app, it doesn't matter. It's detecting feelings. And you can't get any closer. I think that's sort of the end door, the best thing you can do. Maybe they will become, maybe you can see more emotions, or maybe they become more, have better statistics or whatever. Maybe you can always enhance a tool, but knowing what they really feel about your product, whatever it is, I think that's for the next couple of years, it's going to be hopefully standard, and a lot of companies will change it to that, using that, and trying to enhance their products. Because in the end, you want to have, all the brands should have a product people love.
Definitely.
And that will make our lives better, right? If I have an app and maybe I don't want to have the attention of the people all the time, but like less, I just want to enhance their life. You can see with the emotion tracking that you should delete a couple features, so you can put your phone back in your pants and can actually enjoy the world as it is. But the app was amazing for you because it did exactly what it had to do. And with more emotion-driven tests, you can find it out. So.
Definitely. We have a question here. What do you think about social solutions with interactive design? From Giovanna.
What do you think about social solutions? What do you know what she means with that question?
I would have gotten, what do you think about social media? I thought that's what she means. So do you probably use social media to track certain emotions, like, filter bad news about a certain thing or release or something like that? Does that help as well?
Now we're touching, and I think, a more of an ethical question here. I heard that
was the other side of your
the other side,
presentation, right?
so I see an opportunity here now. No, it's more. I've heard that Facebook does the most tests of every company in the whole world, like over 100,000, I think. Every button, everything, the whole time. The thing is, if you make a change now in your design based on emotions, what will the effect be in the long term, like in 2 years for your company? And that's something Facebook is finding out now, and all the other companies who do that. So it's hard if you make a change now and maybe learn some things in ethical approach and change it. Maybe it will have a different effect in the future you don't know yet about. So that's a super hard question to answer.
What areas have you covered in the ethical part of your presentation?
Of my presentation?
Yeah.
Of my,
maybe we switch back to your laptop?
No, well, that's something I would like to learn myself. I want to learn more in that area, actually.
Okay.
So that's also why I started a new company last month, actually, with a friend.
Congrats.
Thanks. Next to my freelance career. And we're actually inviting speakers who can teach us about this, because I don't have the answer, actually. I mean, digital ethics,
okay,
it's kind of a new topic.
Something for you guys out there, community. So if you want to talk about ethical design, get in touch with Sander on your social media, probably, or do you have a website?
Yeah, we have a website.
Already?
We have a first speaker, that's Brett Voss. I think a lot of people know him. He's from Atomic Design. It's a book. A lot of designers know him. He's coming in June. He's going to talk about atomic design and also ethics. And a new one, we don't even have a date, but also Kenneth Biles is coming in somewhere in the summer. And he's also wrote a book about future ethics. And he's already teaching at Stanford University and Facebook about this topic. So it's super interesting. And I'm organizing this because I don't know. I want to learn as well. And they come over and they have 8-hour substantive workshops, like 8-hour in-depth, a full day.
What do you teach in those workshops?
It's more how to detect ethics in the design process. And maybe also how to dissolve ethical dilemmas in your team, but also with your customers. And I think that's a very interesting topic. I think you can differentiate as a brand next couple of years if you approach it well and listen to your customers in that area.
Awesome.
Ha ha ha.
Hi, Rufus.
Hey.
Hi.
Sander, how did it go?
Good.
Yeah? Stephanie?
All good.
Your first Adobe live stream, and we're almost done here live from the Awwwards in Amsterdam. And I just wanted to come by and really thank everybody here in the chat that participated in this event. We had 24 wonderful speakers. Stephanie, thank you for helping host.
Thank you, Rufus, for letting me host.
Great. And and you, thank you for being our last guest.
My pleasure.
And now we're all gonna close the stream because it gets really hot at the awards, because we all know the nominations, but we don't know who the winners are, and we're gonna give out the prizes now. So I'll be seeing you very soon, and next month on the Adobe Live in Germany, and you all take care. Just remember that you guys make it real. So thank you, community.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.